What's up, NBA fans? It's Brett James back again with another video. And today, man, is the first day of the NBA postseason. Yesterday concluded the NBA regular season for the 2020-21 NBA season, and it has been a phenomenal year, even though there's been a lot of ups and downs with teams, injuries, and being in a COVID year as well. We're all super grateful that we had a great NBA season for the most part as well. And now that we're getting into the playoffs, and now this is going to be the second year with the play-in tournament, last year in the bubble, first year with the play-in tournament, the NBA is going to be super competitive this year, and I think the NBA is honestly pretty wide open for the most part as well. But let's stop wasting time, man. Let's hop right into this video, though. Now, starting off in the NBA Eastern Conference, here's what the standings 1 through 10 look like. I do think that the Boston Celtics and the Washington Wizards will both make it out. I do think that the Boston Celtics will be the 8th seed, and I do think that the Washington Wizards will be the 7th seed. As much as I would love to see the Hornets and LaMelo get into the playoffs this first year, and especially these announcers, I don't think it's going to happen. Now, actually on to the Eastern Conference playoff predictions. Let's start off with the first matchup, 1 through 8. We got Philadelphia versus the Boston Celtics. Give me Philadelphia in a 4-0 sweep. I'm sorry about Jaylen Brown and Celtics Nation out there. I really wish that he could be playing because the Boston Celtics have been to the Eastern Conference Finals 3 out of the last 4 years, and I love the young ascending stars in Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Brad Stevens is going to be on the hot seat. I don't think he gets fired after the season, but give me the 76ers in a 4-0 sweep. Next matchup, we got the Brooklyn Nets versus the Washington Wizards. Now look, Russell Westbrook versus Kevin Durant in a playoff series is going to be very interesting. Of course, there's going to be a lot of headlines, but at the end of the day, this Brooklyn Nets team is just far superior to this Washington Wizards team. Give me the Brooklyn Nets in a 4-0 sweep. Now, an interesting matchup is going to be the Milwaukee Bucks, the number 3 seed versus the number 6 seed Miami Heat. A rematch of last year's NBA semifinals in the second round when the Bucks were bounced. Of course, the Miami Heat made the NBA Finals last year. Now look, this Bucks team has improved with guys like PJ Tucker and Drew Holiday now there, and even though the Miami Heat are gritty, Bam Adebayo is going to be a defensive player of the year, and we know the kind of leader that Jimmy Butler is. I don't think this Heat team has it this year because I think this Bucks team is hungry and ready this year, and especially with all the criticism Giannis has got, give me the Bucks winning that series in 6. And now an interesting Eastern Conference matchup is going to be the 4 and 5 seed, the New York Knicks versus the Atlanta Hawks. The Knicks making the playoffs for the first time since the 2012-2013 season. Now this is awesome for Knicks fans out there because the New York Knicks have been garbage my entire life except for 1, maybe 2 good years with Carmelo Anthony. But good for the New York Knicks and Tom Thibodeau for turning this team around. And the Atlanta Hawks have been basically a subpar or a bottom team in the NBA the last couple of years as well. Trae Young is one of the most disrespected top guards in the NBA, if you ask me. And this is going to be a great series. And this is no disrespect towards Knicks fans because they got a W this year just by making the playoffs. But I do have the Hawks winning this series in 7. I think the Hawks just have too many shooters and too many elite scorers on all 3 levels, on the starting lineup and in the bench as well. Now, moving on to the second round of the NBA Eastern Conference playoffs. Give me the 1 seed Philadelphia 76ers versus the number 5 seed Atlanta Hawks. I could sound crazy and say that the Atlanta Hawks could upset the Philadelphia 76ers because of just how much scoring and shooting they have. And of course, we know how bad Ben Simmons' inability to shoot the ball hurts the 76ers offense come playoff time in half-court sets. But still give me the 76ers in 6. Think the Hawks are good enough to compete at least 2 games with the 76ers in the playoffs, and Clint Capella could definitely hold his own even though nobody can stop Joel Embiid. Give me the 76ers winning that series in 6. Now to the other matchup in the Eastern Conference in the second round. Give me the Brooklyn Nets versus the Milwaukee Bucks. Another great matchup as well. But as I've said before, the Brooklyn Nets are just so superior of a team. I know that the Milwaukee Bucks beat the Brooklyn Nets earlier in the regular season in 2 home games in Milwaukee, and Giannis had that clutch block late on Kevin Durant at the mid-range pull-up. But look, at the end of the day, this is playoff basketball, and the Nets just have too much offensive, lethal scoring power. Give me the Brooklyn Nets winning the series in 6. Now moving on to the NBA Eastern Conference Finals. The Brooklyn Nets versus the Philadelphia 76ers. Even though the 76ers will have home court advantage, that's not going to matter at all. Give me the Brooklyn Nets in 5. So now that we've got the Brooklyn Nets coming out of the NBA Eastern Conference, who's going to come out of the West? Let's move on to the Western Conference. Now moving on to the NBA Western Conference. Here are the standings in the West 1 through 10. You see Utah finishing with the best record in basketball this year at 52-20. And down to the 10 seed, the San Antonio Spurs. Team 7 through 10, Lakers through the Spurs, will be playing in the play-in tournament. I think that the Golden State Warriors and the Los Angeles Lakers both get out of the play-in tournament. I don't see the San Antonio Spurs or the Memphis Grizzlies making it out into the NBA playoffs. Now, I think that the Lakers end up getting the 7 seed. I think the Lakers take care of business and they beat the Golden State Warriors the first time around. I think the Golden State Warriors end up losing to the Lakers, and then they end up beating the San Antonio Spurs and the Memphis Grizzlies, whoever wins that game. Now, actually on to my bracket in the Western Conference. First matchup, we got number 1 seed Utah Jazz versus the number 8 seed Golden State Warriors. Give me the Utah Jazz winning that series in 6. And don't get me wrong, the Warriors are playing phenomenal, and so is Steph Curry. He's doing unreal things. But this Utah Jazz team is not losing to the Golden State Warriors in a 7-game series, okay? That's just not going to happen. Donovan Mitchell's going to be coming back off a 17, 18-game absence, whatever that number is. But this Utah Jazz team is too team-oriented, and they're too good offensively and defensively to be losing to this Golden State Warriors team in a 7-game series. That's just not going to happen, okay? So give me the Utah Jazz in 6. Now, on to the number 2 seed Phoenix Suns versus the number 7 seed Los Angeles Lakers. The Lakers are getting their guys back and healthy just at the right time with Anthony Davis and LeBron James, even though they haven't had a lot of chemistry the last 2 or 3 months, getting back everybody onto the court with Dennis Schroeder, Montrezl Harrell, LeBron, Anthony Davis, and a handful of others who guys have been missed due to injury. Phoenix is not going to be able to hang with the Los Angeles Lakers, and I'm sorry, Phoenix has had a great year. Devin Booker and Chris Paul did amazing things this year. Chris Paul obviously going to be in the MVP conversation as well, but the Los Angeles Lakers are just too good. Honestly, give me the Lakers in 7. I think Phoenix will be competitive and take them to 7. And also the Lakers are just trying to get the rhythm back. But give me the Phoenix Suns losing to the Los Angeles Lakers in 7. We've got the 3 seed Denver Nuggets versus the number 6 seed Portland Trailblazers. A rematch of 2 years ago, the semifinals, when the Portland Trailblazers beat the Denver Nuggets on their home court in Game 7. That was the year Portland went to the Western Conference Finals and lost to the Golden State Warriors. Now look, I actually have Portland winning this series in an upset. I wouldn't say it's much of an upset just because the Denver Nuggets are missing Jamal Murray. The Nuggets would be absolutely live this year if they had Jamal Murray, and I would have them probably making the Western Conference Finals, but I don't see that being the case. Give me Portland winning against the Denver Nuggets in 6. And now on to the 4 and 5 seed matchup, the LA Clippers versus the Dallas Mavericks. A rematch of last year's first round matchup. If you remember correctly, Luka hit one of those game winners, that step back. But give me the Clippers winning this series, honestly, in 5. As fantastic as Luka Doncic is, and he's been, this LA Clippers team is on another level this year, and they've got another year of continuity. And Paul George wants to really prove all the haters wrong this year. I think Kawhi is going to be absolutely prepared, and this coaching staff is going to be ready for the Dallas Mavericks as well. Give me the Clippers winning in 5. Now moving on to the NBA Western Conference semifinals, we got the 1 seed Utah Jazz versus the 4 seed LA Clippers. Give me the Jazz winning this series in 7. I think Donovan Mitchell's going to have his rhythm and his playmaking back. Paul George has notoriously been known for choking in the playoffs, and I know what I just said about him versus the Dallas Mavericks, but Utah is coming out ready. They're ready to prove the haters wrong as much. And I like Utah's team overall more than I like the LA Clippers, even though the Clippers have some of the best bench in the NBA. I think playoff Rondo is going to be a big key factor to how well this team does in the playoffs. Of course, they're going to be getting Ibaka back. This is going to be a 7-game series, I can assure you that. But on Utah's home court, give me the Jazz coming out on top versus the LA Clippers. Even though the Clippers could win this series, I'm just taking the Jazz, really, in terms of that home court on Game 7. And now the other semifinals matchup in the Western Conference, the Portland Trailblazers versus the LA Lakers. Now look, Damian Lillard will definitely give LeBron and that team some trouble because THT, Dennis Schroeder, and Alex Caruso are not going to be capable of keeping up with Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum on a night-to-night basis. But Portland doesn't have the right personnel to keep up with LeBron and Anthony Davis on a night-to-night basis. Give me the Lakers winning that series in 5. On to the Western Conference Finals, we got the Utah Jazz versus the LA Lakers. The Lakers are going to have all their rhythm and their feet back under them after 2 playoff series as well. And Utah's going to be coming into this series feeling great after a Game 7 victory versus the LA Clippers. But give me the Lakers winning this series in 7 on Utah's home court as well. I think the Jazz are competitive and deep enough to compete with the Lakers on a 7-game basis. But LeBron James is notoriously known for being one of the best clutch players in basketball. I don't just mean last-second shots. I mean leading and galvanizing his team to win games that are clutch, especially in playoff performances. Give me the Lakers winning that series in 7. Now, the NBA Finals is going to be the Brooklyn Nets versus the LA Lakers. If I had to actually put my money on it, that's what I'm predicting. Give me the Brooklyn Nets winning that series in 5. Y'all might call me crazy for saying that the Nets are going to beat the Lakers in 5, but I think the Nets just have too much firepower, and the Lakers don't have enough to keep up with them. LeBron James, as phenomenal as he is, this Lakers team is going to get absolutely blown out the waters for the most part versus this Brooklyn Nets team. The Brooklyn Nets are going to be your 2021 NBA champs. Now, before I end the video, I do want to go off on a little bit of a side tangent and say that, look, as a Utah Jazz fan, because I've grown up a diehard Utah Jazz fan my entire life, even though I'm from Jacksonville, Florida, that's why Orlando's my second team, even though I'm diehard for both teams, Utah is my team. And it really pains me to say that I don't think that we're going to make it out of the Western Conference just because of the Lakers. I think if the Lakers are compromised, the Jazz will get out of the West, and I truthfully mean that. But we'll see how things go. I hope I'm wrong. because it pains me to say that as a diehard Jazz fan. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe down below for more NBA content, and I do Jacksonville Jaguars content as well if you guys are interested in that. Thank you guys for your continuous support. What matchups are you looking most forward to in the NBA playoffs, and what teams do you think are going to get upset? But that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much, and I'm out, boys. Peace!